So, Kyle, you've just been on an incredible adventure recently to the US. Whereabouts did you actually go?
So we spent the first week at the Incredible Hulk in the High Sierra. It's a pretty high altitude for us, coming from Queensland, being at sea level for our whole lives. I think the base, where we were camping and stuff, was 10,000 feet.
What's that in meters?
Is it 3,000 meters? I think.
I think 3,000.
It's about
4,000 something.
I don't think it's quite 4,000 meters. No? Maybe anyway, something like that. Definitely like probably more than twice as high that I've ever been in my life.
Yeah,
probably.
Sick.
It's like even the fact like walking in, like with I think all our backpacks were 32 or 34 kilos each to spend like a week there to climb, and at that altitude. Yeah, it railed us on the first day walking in.
How did the plan come about?
The plan? I mean...
Yeah, why did you pick the Hulk?
I think we were thinking about going to Temple Crag, I think, or a couple of different areas which had like very long, like slightly easier routes. They were like 5.6 or 5.7 and stuff. And then we're also going to go to the Hulk because like it's, Peter Croft says it's like the best alpine wall in America. And we're like, oh, we'll go there. It sounds amazing. And then we only realised we could only go to like one of the few crags we wanted to go to, so we figured one was go to the best one. But then it turns out it's the hardcore wall of the Sierras. So it definitely wasn't easy. There's not very many easy routes on the whole wall, and I think the easiest is 510, but that's still a very, very long route. I think it's like 15 beaches or something like that to get to the very summit and get off. Yeah.
So you were hiking in with a pack that's the weight of a small child. How long was the hike in?
I think I'm trying to delete it from my memory. It was seriously like one of like the worst things I've ever done. Like Sam had been training. I think he was going up Mount Cootha with like a heavy pack 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
I was kind of ignorant to the fact that I thought I was pretty fit, and it turns out I'm not. But it's a long way in, and it's a lot of elevation, even just the walking to get up there and stuff. It took a long time. I think it was maybe like 5 hours or something like that. Maybe of walking. It was very slow and very laborious. It sucked big time. Definitely questioned why we wanted to be there.
What was that? Was that the first thing you did? Like, what was the itinerary like? Yeah, I think you mentioned you were in landed in LA and then drove to High Sierras from there. Yeah,
landed in LA in the evening. Slept at a motel. Sorry, not a motel. Sorry, an Airbnb. Blake actually flew in earlier than myself and Sam, and he walked from the airport with a haul bag and another backpack from the airport of LA to the Airbnb, which I think was like a few Ks in the middle of the day. It was pretty hot there. So
no kidding.
He gets the job done.
Training.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
So we spent the night there and then spent the whole next day driving up towards towards where Bishop is, on like the eastern side of where the Sierras are. Then I'm pretty sure we camped in the middle of the desert. I think there's a photo on there of I'm pretty sure, where was that? That was near
was that
with all the sleeping bags?
No, it was just like us in like the middle of the desert below the mountains. The photos might not be in order because of the way they were airdropped and stuff.
No, that's all good. Because there's this awesome picture of you guys with all the gear laid out in a car park.
Oh yeah, that's it. So that's at Mammoth Lakes. So that was, I think, the day after that. So I think we slept in the desert and then kept on driving up towards Mammoth, where we were doing all our prep and stuff. We were driving through Bishop to try and get some bear cans, because you need bear cans to store your food in up there and stuff.
Oh, that's what that was.
Yeah.
Bear cans. Tell us about that.
There are bears. We didn't see any bears, but it's a requirement that you need to store your food and stuff in a bear can, which you have.
Right, so that's like an official requirement. You can't go there without it.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I think you'll get like picked up by the ranger for sure. Alex already had a couple bear cans, but we needed to get. I think we had 5. We had 1 for each of us. So we end up renting them from the Mammoth Lakes.
Okay.
Climbing shop.
Because we thought, wow, you guys are really efficient. You had all of these.
No, we were ramming like Cliff Bars, just like putting stuff in, trying to fit as much food as we could. A lot of the food kind of got really mangled in doing so because we tried taking like a lot of fresh produce, as you can see, as much as we could.
So you hiked the bear cans in?
Yeah, and they're quite dense. Yeah. Yeah. Sam had his like kind of maybe there's a photo of Sam. It's kind of like it was on the top of his pack, but then underneath the brain of his pack, and stuff in this big tube that was there.
Yeah. Is that something you guys knew about and accommodated for, or?
Yeah, because it was so good having Alex there because he just knew where everything was, what we needed to do, the permits, and he was very helpful because like there was all these permits and stuff, and I think there was even the permit to climb actually in the Sierras and stuff, or going to the Sierras, we actually couldn't get from Australia, and I think he organised getting the permits and stuff when we got there.
So it really pays to have a guide.
He dropped in his old, like in the desert where he used to work at this aircraft place. He rung up his old boss so he could print off the permits, because you had to print off the permits and stuff on the drive through. So it's very good having someone that actually knows what they're doing on these trips. Yeah, that's awesome. I was very much passenger princess for the majority of the trip. I did not do any driving going there. Alex is doing a lot of the driving because she knows how to drive. That's at Twin Lakes. Is where the car park is for the Hulk. That's a really
gorgeous
beautiful place.
It's like not a cloud in the sky.
Big pointy mountains. It's pretty warm, even up there. Like that's still kind of high. It was still very warm. The sun feels like it's right there. Heaps and heaps of food. We actually hiked out food. Ended up hiking out a day early.
Wow.
Heaps of food.
Took us through some of the gear you've got there.
Food. That's a whole lot of food in that shot. I think I was calling a rope because I'm a bit of a believer. Like the boys are very invested. And very good at organising like what we were going to eat and stuff, so I kind of just like let them handle that. I kind of don't want to be like the too many cooks in the kitchen sort of thing, having an input. And they did like a great job of organising all the food that we should take and stuff. A lot of dehydrated meals, and yeah, lots of snacks.
How was the food?
The dehydrated food. Yes, it was dehydrated food. Yep. We had a bit of a mixture between like stuff that I think Dan had bought online and stuff we had to buy there to try and get like the amount of nights that we're going to have, but it was alright. It's good for calories. I think they're like I can't remember, but yeah, I mean they're not the most delicious thing. You kind of get sick of them after a few days.
So were you planning on staying on the wall?
No.
Okay. So
it's mainly just walk in, make camp. Yeah. Because you've seen another photo that
I'm guessing you brought 4 days worth of food for 2 days.
Yeah, probably in total. Absolutely. We didn't eat all the food.
It looked like a lot of food for.
It's a lot of food.
Based on the photos, I figured you'd be on the wall for a little while, but sounds like you just did a day push.
Well, yeah, we just to make it like come back down to camp and stuff because the camp is only like 10 minutes away from like where we're just a walk up the scree.
Yeah. What we wanted to ask was the giant table that you guys moved.
Yeah, that's an awesome picture of you guys.
That was kind of hilarious because we were finding actually there's a photo of the walk-in. The walk-in is really beautiful, but very, very laborious and painful when you're carrying heavy backpacks. So just remember what day it was. We flew in, slept at the Airbnb, drove, then spent the day after that also prepping, and then the day after that we walked in. The day after that we tried doing positive vibrations, and then bailed. We'll get to that later. And then I think we might have had 2 days of rest, did another climb, and then I think the day after that we might have walked out maybe, when we had a day of rest and then we walked out the day after that.
So you needed a day between the climbing to rest?
We were absolutely flogged after the day of walking in and trying to climb. So I think it was really windy as well. We were trying to pick the conditions. The conditions were really good. But one day was particularly windy, and yeah, it's not very fun being up there. And if it's really windy at camp, then it's really, really, really windy up on the wall. That's a pretty funny photo. Mm-hmm. Sam was very much the kind of in some aspects the dad of the group, being very organised and keeping us all on task. Yeah, kind of the captain. I think I called him Captain Australia a few times. He looks a little bit like Chris Evans, but very organised and yeah, keeps everyone together. I made the joke several times that Sam is kind of like my carer, because I was very much a bit of a baby on this trip. Because Sam, like this has been my first international trip. Sam's done. He lived in America for 3 months. He's done trips to Europe. So he's
seasoned traveller,
and he's got travelling down very dialed. Myself, absolutely nothing at all. Yeah, and Sam is just a very organised person in general, which is really advantageous to have on a climbing trip to a very remote area. And he's also a very competent climber, very fit, and he was doing a lot of training for this trip, which I did not necessarily do. So yeah, and that was a bit of a theme throughout the trip, that Sam was kind of going for it and pushing for it, and I was kind of like dragging myself behind him, trying to kind of keep up in some points. No. And a really great friend to have like on a trip like this.
Let's talk about your epic on the day one and why you had to bail.
So it might have been a bit of a... Let me think about this for a second of how I word this. Alex kind of maybe assumed a little bit much of us maybe to be able to climb the day after walking in, seeing as though we hadn't really acclimated much. But we gave it a good crack, and we did 4 pitches. Hang on, let me just think about it. I think we actually did not link the first pitch together. So we did 1, 2...
What climb was it?
Positive Vibrations, which is a 11A. 1, 2, 3, 4 pitches to a terrace, and then pitch 5. So Dan and Blake were in a group of they were ahead of us, and Dan's a very competent climber, and he was redlining on effectively a grade 18 hand crack, which didn't give me that much hope when I then led the pitch after them. And it was really like 3 jams, and you're like, oh man, this is like quite hard. You're like pumping out on like a really bomber hand crack, and it's like, what the hell is going on? I got to the blade and started blaying Sam up. Dan looked like he was exhausted trying to get like stuff out of his bag and stuff, and we were kind of taking a little bit too long. Getting a bit late in the day, so the mixture of Dan started not feeling too well, we were kind of a little bit late, and yeah, we kind of just decided that we were just going to bail off and stuff, to start kind of retreating, seeing as though it was literally like our first day there. We didn't want to go for broke and smash ourselves.
Yeah.
There is a photo of all of us in the process of bailing off, which I really like this photo. It doesn't look like Dan is having a great time.
Everyone except one person in this photo is having a great time.
But
oh dear.
So you met up Blake and Sam on the same pitch on the bail. Yeah. Yeah,
we all just Alex is any person back down at the terrace at that point, and then we just all bailed off.
So presuming this is altitude sickness, was this his first time experiencing altitude sickness?
Yeah, I think so. He spent a month in Canada with his sister and stuff, and was doing like a lot of hiking and climbing and stuff, and like a bit of, I don't know, I think probably the first time probably in Canada area. Probably after we had such just a hard time walking in with such heavy packs and stuff.
Body's already working hard enough to recover.
Body's already working hard enough to, yeah, exactly. And later on, like I started experiencing like the same thing, which, yeah.
And talk me through, what did it feel like?
It just feels just exhausted and sick, and you kind of want to feel like you want to throw up and stuff. Sam had some Indanzatron, which at this moment Dan had, and he started feeling a lot better, and I had some too. Just, yeah. It just sucks. I just feel like crap.
Did your guide have any tips on how to try and recover from that kind of sickness, or not really? Just had to wing it.
Just had to wing it. He's never. I don't think he's even had altitude. I mean,
wow.
Alex had already he's already done positive vibration as well. So he's already been to
Lives
the cliff.
at altitude.
Yeah, but yeah, I did. You asked about the
table,
moving the rock.
Yes.
I think we're just trying to, because we were like camping up there for a week, we're just trying to make camp a little bit more comfortable. And then I think we started making what started out as trying to make a bit of a shelter for our jet boils because it was windy, to try and have a bit of covering for the wind. And then we're progressively finding a couple of cool, like, slick rocks and stuff, and then Sam rocks up and he's got this humongous shield of rock. And we're like, oh man, what are we going to do with this? We could probably do something with this. So we all carried it down and ended up being a very good table surface, which is very cool. The guys were very good at the food we brought and the nutritional value of probably what we were eating. Something I lack in my skill is probably for prepping with food and stuff.
There was also another photo of you carving a cube out of ice.
Oh, that was,
there was a cube that you were holding.
Yeah, I was. I can't remember what I was doing. I think I was up around in the boulders taking it poo, I think. And then there was a bit of ice. There's occasional like big sheet of ice and stuff. And yeah, I just kind of was just like, you know what, kind of just like, I was bored, I think, because we're taking it. It was a rest day. It was like,
it was a very interesting shot.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go and like, I'm gonna go sculpt a cube.
Yeah.
And it's a very satisfying thing. I just kind of got my knife out and I just, was scraping it together and, I'm trying to find the photo of the actual me carving it out. If it's actually.
Yeah, I'll put it up.
Yeah. That was very funny.
So that was day one, and then day two, you guys decided to rest.
Yeah. So and then I think we had 2 days of rest. I think because we didn't need to rest on the second day, but I think it was particularly windy, so we didn't.
Yeah. So what do you actually do on a rest day?
Carve block of ice.
Are you like hangboarding, stretching, or just take it completely?
It was pretty chill. Sleeping in. Trying to just keep ourselves occupied. But, when you're with just a group of friends and stuff, it's pretty easy to keep yourself occupied.
Yeah.
We did a lot of chilling, find a sunny patch and lie down and just look up at the cliff, and it's just quite memorising just to sit there and look at it.
Yeah. I do remember looking through these photos and seeing everybody rugged up, but seeing you in a t-shirt and shorts and thongs, and a lot of them.
It's because I'm dumb. Yeah.
Well, how cold was it?
It was pretty damn cold. It was not necessarily. It was mainly just the wind, I think, because the sun was out, and just if you were in the sun, it was manageable. Yeah, reasonably. But yeah, when you were in the shade, especially on the cliff, it was really windy. That was quite cold. I never really experienced a climate like that, like in trying to climb in. But yeah, I don't know. I was kind of just comfy in shorts. But that was only on a couple of occasions.
And when you were climbing in the sun, like obviously being in Queensland, you know what the heat and the humidity is like. What was it like over there?
Obviously, because there's no real humidity there, so it is kind of just very dry heat. But because of the wind, I suppose that's really why it's quite cold. Even layering and stuff we're from Queensland. We don't really have a mop jacket. That was what I went to this trip with, and kind of had to buy a few extra things like soft shell pants and that sort of stuff, which I think was really I'm super glad I had those.
Yeah.
Even climbing in soft shell pants, and then kind of just then layering off to a t-shirt to then actually do a climb and then putting your jacket back on and stuff. There's a lot of different layers to climbing of this style, because between say climbing efficiently on trad, which is quite technical and very hard, then also with food, water, we were hauling and micro-tractioning in a group of 3. Then you got layering with clothes.
I mean, having pants that keep you warm enough but give you mobility, what is that?
Yeah, I bought a pair of Alpine MacPack pants, soft shell pants with what Sam had because he recommended them, and they were really, really good. They were super good to climb in. But yeah, I kind of got a bit of a feel for like layering when I was there between having like a bit of a soft shell thinnish jacket. I didn't really own a down jacket, just had this synthetic jacket, a couple of like an alpine jacket, a fleece. I had a rain jacket, which is good like windbreaker, but then trying to like kind of mix it in like a layering system that actually was effective.
Making sure you've got the right sizing for your outer jacket and your inners is also so important, so you can actually fit all the layers to stay warm.
I bought my rain jacket in New Zealand quite a few years ago, and it's quite tight on me now, which doesn't really work as your outer layer.
Yeah.
So lessons learned. This is a good photo of me on the second climb we attempted called Sunspot Dihedral, and after leading a 70-meter pitch off the ground, another long pitch that was quite difficult climbing, and another long pitch of quite difficult sustained climbing, I started getting quite sick and then couldn't go much further.
Wow.
The guys did one more pitch, and then we were going to retreat off that anyway because the climbing's pretty much over and it's more convenient to descend on the rappel routes there rather than going across to where the summit is, because there's so many other people on those other routes that it'd be a lot harder to descend between all these other parties.
How busy was it at the Hulk?
Some days were like, there was a Saturday there, which was beautiful weather. And then the Sunday after that, there was a group of 10 Spanish climbers. There was a couple of Poms. There was a couple of Americans there. And I think that was our last day there, and we were looking up at the cliff, and we could see like a couple of Sam and Alex up there to go do some cragging just on the bottom of the cliff.
Right.
And I think we counted like 16 or 18 people on the whole cliff stuff. There was a party on Red Dihedral. There was multiple parties on Positive Vibrations. There was a party on Venturi Effect, and there's a party on Sunspot. I think it was.
And those people, are they camping there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, most of them. Yeah.
Jeez. So that's a busy campground.
Yeah, it's quite spread out as well. Like,
okay.
But yeah, the Spanish guys were all like in one spot. But yeah, it was good. We had the primo campsite when we first got. We got there, we were the only people there.
Nice.
How did you stick around for 4 days and still come back with food? I'm guessing it was because you were sick.
We brought that much food.
Okay, so it was the other thing.
Yeah, we brought a lot of food.
In case there was an apocalypse and then you had to stick around for another month.
I mean, we just rather be looking for it, and we left the day early because we were just, when we brought a heap of salami sticks actually.
I noticed.
Yeah, it's like Sam just like eating a salami stick.
Just big salami protein bars.
I mean, the Hulk is a pretty incredible place. Like, it's just a beautiful outlook and a beautiful cliff to climb on.
But like no clouds.
Yeah, it was pretty bluebird the whole time we were there. We were very, very lucky with the weather because sometimes the weather is not very good there. The third pitch of Sunspot Dihedral it's longer than 40 meters. It is a long, long way, and it is pretty much a finger crack the whole way with the odd like maybe hand jam, and there was like one jug and no stances, and it was hard, and that just railed me by the time I got to the belay, and I started feeling quite sick.
So you were feeling exhausted from being ill, but how did you go with your headspace? How did you find the exposure?
Yeah, that's it. It's really scary. Like, I mean, it's just really exposed and being just in that environment and stuff, which is not very familiar at all. So I think that all those different factors just compound. Because the Yosemite decimal system grading is the difficulty of the climbing, rather like the U-bank grading is usually like a combined thing of like the technical difficulty, the exposure, the protection, a lot of different things.
Okay.
Like, for example, Phaedra on Maroon is grade 22. The hardest technical move on the whole climb is probably only about grade 19. But the exposure and all those other different factors. So with that in mind, yeah, it's a very full-on place to climb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was a half-decent crack climber when I went there. It definitely makes me look pretty mediocre.
So when you say you were sick, was there any throwing up on the wall?
No, because I felt like I was going to throw up, and then Sam gave me some good drugs, and that made you not throw up.
Ah, nice. So if you were going to do a trip like this again, what would you change with what you've found from this one?
I think many lessons learned, and I mean, the people that you're going to the trip with are ultimately going to probably, it's going to be the judge of like how the trip probably goes. I was incredibly lucky that the people I was going on that trip to the Hulk with were just amazing climbers, amazing friends. Sam was incredibly prepared and had things like Endanzatron, and also like if something was to go wrong, good self-rescue skills, good first aid skills among like all group of 5 of us. So I suppose that'd be one thing, making sure you're skilled enough to actually go to one of these places. And Danzatron, that would be definitely a thing that I would be taking because I didn't know about it.
And what is it?
I don't even know. I think it's just a drug to stop you from throwing up, I think.
Antinauta? Okay.
I don't know. I'd take more ibuprofen and actually have a heap of it. And just train more for that context. Because, I'd climb a frog a lot. I'm very familiar with frog, and it does not translate, even though it is crack climbing and it's hand jamming and finger jamming, it just simply does not translate to this style of climbing. So it's incredibly sustained, very awkward style. The rock is very smooth. It is it's kind of similar to maybe what Girraween crack climbing is, but still completely different. We don't have anything like it in Australia. Maybe in Mount Buffalo you have the size and the granite, but it's still immensely different.
With it being so different, what kind of training would you do?
I would train very much for Sam was doing very good training for his fitness for hiking, which I think is also very good to translate to strong legs, because if you're climbing on your feet all the time, and training for those big days. So maybe just trying to do a lot of mileage in one day to get used to those big days. We even talked about maybe something you could train and do is do the governor twice in a day. That is seriously what is
Wow.
Because we just don't have anything big enough to actually train on these sort of things for. Maybe the east face of Mount Maroon, you do 3 routes on the east face of Mount Maroon to try and get the height, and then you got the walk-in factor of it as well.
Is there anything you can do for training for altitude here?
Not
anything that simulates it? Yeah,
not that I know of stuff that is maybe affordable. I think you can do those things that those VO2 Max or whatever it is.
Right.
Or I've heard about that. I can't remember his name. There's a photo of him sleeping in bed with his wife, but he's sleeping in with
a mask.
No. It's a bagged environment. That is a lower oxygen
oh my gosh.
percentage for him to train for Alpine and mountaineering and stuff.
Wow.
Obviously that shit costs a lot of money, so yeah, not very affordable.
There was one more thing I wanted to talk to you about, which we discussed earlier, which is to do with lines and the differences between crowds at crags.
In Yosemite itself. Yeah, we haven't gotten to Yosemite yet. Look, Yosemite, it is a really amazing place. It is absolutely incredible. Yeah, I can't express more than that. But there is a lot of crowds there, and it is very cutthroat and very hard to navigate through so many people literally lining up for routes. And it is just what they do there. I'm trying if there's a harder variant start, you'll do that to try and get around another party, or people pass you, people free soloing, just asking if they could pass you, stuck behind groups of 3 or more that might have gear stuck. It all happened there. People sneaking you in the queue to go do a climb. Yeah.
I can't imagine doing a variant of a route just to try and outrace the party that's already on a climb.
Yeah,
that feels mental.
It feels wrong when you're there. Well, but I think this is just what they do. And yeah, we just don't have that much, I suppose, in Australia. I've lined up for some climbs at maybe Arapiles or at frog, but like usually it's just like, oh, they're on the climb, I'm going to do something else. Like, there's obviously the density of climbs there, but not the density at maybe like where the Nutcracker is. As far as I'm aware, there's just the Nutcracker. People go, like, you're walking to that spot to do that one route, so you just got to line up for it. Yeah, I think it's then be prepared for like it's going to take a lot longer to do a route than you anticipate. You're going to bring a lot of water. It's probably going to be in the sun. My lips copped it at the Hulk.
Yeah.
I was pouring my lips for like as much time as I could, and still my lips were like really, really sore. I had to get some better stuff. I think it was because of like the sun.
The sun and the wind?
Yeah, maybe more. I think more the sun and the wind, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like burning my lips. So I got some like better stuff for it. But yeah.
Yeah, we're very fortunate here to have, I suppose, a smaller population and then an even smaller climbing population. So we can have the opportunity to rock up to a crag that is empty.
Because we've got no good climbing, that's worth lining up for.
What do you mean? Slider's great.
Slider's great, yeah. Best crag in Queensland. So this is Mr. Natural. So I think this was after we attempted the Free Blast, which is the first few pitches of the South A. And after like I led off the ground, I think it was a 70-metre pitch of 510C fingers and stuff. And like I was pretty exhausted even after doing that. Sam led one of it's like a little cruxy roof pitch that kind of traverses underneath this roof, and it's got like bad feet and you got to turn the slip. Sam had a lot of trouble trying to clip this fixed wire. And this is about 4 metres or so out from the belay, traversing out. And he's just like, I'm just going to go for it. And he had, I think, 3 pieces in. And he kind of got his waist around the roof, and he fell off, and the gear just ripped straight out of the pin scars, and he fractured straight on the anchor.
Oh.
And that was the first time that's happened to me. And a good learning experience, I had my hand above and below the gree, and then my hand just got rammed into the Jesus drill. And it really hurt. I think Sam ended up being like, I think he might have like cut his finger open a tiny bit, but for the most part he was fine. It's a very good place to factor to. He had a clean fall down into this corner, and he was fine. But yeah, Sam's also like, he's a solid dude, and yeah, I just got yeeted. And it almost kind of winded me a little bit, like just getting slammed into the anchor. And good on him for going for it. And then he was learning how to place gear in the pin scars, and which is also like a thing in itself. Like pin scars have like channels from the channel pegs, putting the lobes like in the channel pegs and like kind of putting it up further into the pin scar because it's like straight down. And then we did a few more pitches. I tried doing the first pitch, like where it goes to the bolts, which is, what you see around Honnold soloed through for free rider. And I was trying to get to this first bolt. It was really hard and like glassy. Never encountered anything so slippery before.
Wow.
And the pin scars were also like not very helpful, like getting up to the bolt. I was trying to put like another piece in, put a totem in, and just go plop, shit out of the pin scars. Oh my God. Anyway, I ended up like having like a slump and then lowered off. I cut my finger open a little bit, and Sam went up and he managed to get through and got to the top of the pitch. But I was so exhausted, and I think I got to that point and I was like, no, and I just grabbed the rope and I just started like pulling myself up, got up to the anchor, and then we bailed off, which was a bit disappointing. I felt kind of bad for Sam because like I wasn't up to the level that he was, climbing wise and fitness wise, to be able to like do such a big day, because it is still like 10 pitches I think up to Mammoth Terrace and the Free Blast. But he was amazing about it. We bailed off. He ended up coming back, I think, the next couple of days later with, and he thirded past with Dan and Blake up to Mount Terrace, which was really good, so we still got to do it.
Nice.
Then I went to lead Mr. Natural, which is really close to the campsite. The campsite is pretty much like right in there.
Yeah.
And we just walked over to this thing, and it's amazing. It's like 40 metres of slabby fingers. It's like one of the best pitches ever. And a beautiful backdrop. So that was really good. And even the like very easy slab before the crack, I somehow hooked my knuckle on a knob of rock and then opened my finger up and was bleeding everywhere and having to get my chalkboard and like trying to clog up my huge like chunked out finger.
Clog it up.
And that kept on opening up again and again and again, so that was annoying too. I kept on having to tape that up.
What day did that happen on?
Oh, I can't remember. I think it was like towards the end of the first week in the valley, I think, or something like that.
So like halfway through the trip.
It was before I got sick, because a little bit after that, I was taking some rest days by myself just to like try and recoup and try to get some energy back. Then Sam and I tried doing the rostrum. Dan and Blake and Alex had already tried it. Also, sorry, maybe a little bit tangent, sorry to this. So we had the opportunity to go to the rostrum with Dan, Blake and Alex. I didn't feel particularly ready to go and do it, seeing as though the hardest thing I'd led in the valley at that stage was like 5'8", and the rostrum is 5'11B.
What's the conversion for those, by the way?
Oh, I think I'd led maybe like a 16 or something like that, which is like, I don't know, half of 16, I suppose, different style. It's very slippery. And the rostrum, I think, is about 22 or something like that. But like, okay. I don't know, just to clarify, 22 in the valley is really, really hard.
What would you give it?
Oh, it's like as hard as like, I don't know. Like I climbed pretty well at Frog, I think. And it was a lot harder than like jumping on maybe like a 23 or 20. Like as hard as jumping like a 24. Actually, and that's not even like, that wasn't even like a 5'11". Yeah, anyway, yeah. But I had this idea because like I'd rather go do like maybe a bigger day or something easier to try and prepare myself to go and lead on the rostrum.
Right.
So looking through this is a massive stitch up by whoever wrote this guidebook. The 100 tick list of Yosemite and stuff, there was a route called Chenard Herbert, which is on the Sentinel. And they say it's a really good thing to do this route first before you do the Stex Alpha, which is very slow. It's got a lot of wide climbing at 5'10", and the Chenard Herbert is slightly harder, but more face climbing with a lot more fixed gear, so it's easy to do. We got absolutely hosed. We got up to try and find the start, past a group who was already trying to go up and do it as well. They got off route in the approach, knocked a rock off, which cratered onto one of the heads of their party, like he was wearing a helmet. Oh. One of them, like a t-shirt was ripped.
Damn.
And stuff, and we were like, and they were bailing, and they were like, oh, really disappointed now, we're heading back at this. And yeah, anyway, we kept on trying to go, and we eventually found our way to try and go through this like 5th class, like roped up, and found our way through this these like steeper sections to try and get to the base of the route we wanted to do. Took us, I think we started the route at 10:30, and we were it was already going light halfway through, like walking up. So we spent a long time trying to get to the approach.
Yeah, wow.
And then Sam led the first couple pitches. We found a brand new, or not brand new, but like, not very well used number 3 Camelot on the ground. Oh, sweet. How good's this? Anyway, he led the first few pitches. He led the first kind of hard pitch and just French freeing through. We're just going to French free this because we haven't got much time. And then I think he led. Can you
tell me what French
freeing is? French freeing is just grabbing gear. You just got to get up the rock, whatever means necessary. It's not, sending or clean or anything like that. It's just get up the rock. So it's more like, it's faster than just aid climbing.
Yeah.
Gear. Because there was a lot of pitons on that route. So we're just like heavy carabiner pulling and just going through. A couple of short pitches, and we just did in the blocks. I led, then I think we're about halfway up, it was my turn to lead. And it was 5:10, and I didn't find it too hard, but also the climbing itself was so not 3 stars.
No.
I pictured climbing. This is like my first like major route in Yosemite after doing some like easy like 5'9" and stuff. I expected this route to probably be like something, you think of Yosemite, you think of like, what would effectively be the first pitch like on El Cap and stuff, like pin scars and like cool climbing, slick rock and stuff. This felt like doing something on Mount Maroon. It was more of a 3-star adventure rather than a 3-star climb. I mean, the climb was kind of cool. It was dirty. it was not what I signed up for. And I felt kind of bad that it was my idea that we were here.
Oh, no.
And I got Sam's number 3 cam stuck in a crack, which is very, the rock giveth and the rock taketh. Anyway, and Sam left it there, so I owe him a number 3 cam. And then I led another pitch, and then I was feeling like pretty hosed. I made a belay in this groove off like a bolt in a wire, and kind of made myself into the belay. Sam led the next, which is like probably the crux pitch, which was really hard up this like crack corner and stuff. And Sam French freed his really good lead, got up to a hanging belay. I was like French freeing my way up, but he was also back cleaning gear, so taking gear out so he can place it up higher. So I couldn't necessarily French free the whole thing. And I remember I was like trying to get up to this piton, which had a quick draw, and I was having in these couple of finger locks and stuff, and I slipped out and like tore open my finger as I slipped out. And then ended up just like putting marker traction on, just like effectively jogging up the rope to get to the anchor and stuff. And then my hands started cramping from like sending the rope. And I was like saying like, I feel pretty cooked right now. And he's like, righto. So Sam led the next pitch after that, which went through this kind of like roofy thing, all these pins. So he like led through this roof, and then I seconded and aided my way through and stuff, and cleaned it all out. And then we had a couple of easy other pitches to the top. My hands were cramping up. I was feeling pretty exhausted. Sam was feeling pretty exhausted as well. And a couple of easy, very vegetated pitches to get us to the summit. And we finally got to the summit. And it was a bit of a thank God cumbre. We're very excited to be at the top, but we're pretty exhausted. And then we had to get down. Proceeded to get down most of the way down this gully in the daytime. Turned night, got very lost. Probably wasted a couple of hours trying to find this way down this.
Couple of hours?
Yeah. It's a long ass way down. I mean, when we were at the top of the climb, we were higher than El Cap. Like it's a very high peak itself. So that's a long way back down to the valley floor. It's just in the descent.
Damn.
And just kind of got lost. And Sam has a really good head torch, which he calls the artificial sun. And that was very good to like try and actually see, and you can see like some trees. Like, I think we got to be over there. We crossed like one water course and crossed another water course, which we shouldn't have crossed, and had to like double back a lot. We ended up on like the next ridge. Just totally wrong spot, but it's really hard to follow the trail through the vegetation. Anyway, we eventually got back down to the car. It was a 14 or something hour day, and that was supposed to be our prep for the rostrum, which was good to just kind of call us, being like, well, the rostrum's not going to be as big as day as that, so we should be fine. I started getting sick, getting a real bad cough. We decided to try the rostrum anyway. I led the third pitch, which was a really long hand crack, leapfrogging gear and stuff. But the climbing itself, only 510 B or C. Running out of gear. I remember in this photo, I think I had clipped an old rusty rivet.
Oh, yeah.
And then I leapfrogged cams up to a certain point. I figured I can really easy hand jamming. I can get to here to like the top of it, which is like up here where I can see there was a bong piton with an old sling around it. And then still ran out of quick draws. And then still had it like the last few meters was like this like thin corner, which was, I was kind of like redlining because I was so exhausted after doing a 40-meter pitch already. And then flopped onto the ledge. Thank God the guy that was taking those photos had made a trad anchor to the ledge. So I was like, can I use your anchor, please? Yeah, no worries. So that was good, and then started like coughing really bad and feeling quite sick. We let another party that was behind us pass us. Sam had a go at trying to do the next pitch, which was like an overhanging tips finger crack. That was really cool. Sam took a couple of falls. Then we were able to actually escape along a ledge and then start to walk back up and stuff. And I was feeling pretty crap walking back up. Sam was amazing. We got back to the packs and stuff, and he just took the rope, and he already had like most of the rack and stuff, and he just starts walking. I can take the rope, Sam. He goes, no. That's a pretty good recap of most of the trip.